The most important things are the hardest things to say. They are the things you get ashamed of because words diminish them. Words shrink things that seemed limitless when they were in your head to no more than living size when they're brought out. But it's more than that, isn't it? The most important things lie too close to wherever your secret heart is buried, like landmarks to a treasure your enemies would love to steal away. And you may make revelations that cost you dearly only to have people look at you in a funny way, not understanding what you've said at all, or why you thought it was so important that you almost cried while you were saying it. That's the worst, I think, when the secret stays locked within, not for want of a teller, but for want of an understanding ear. I was 12, going on 13, when I first saw a dead human being. It happened in 1960, a long time ago. Although sometimes it doesn't seem that long to me, especially on the nights I wake up from dreams where the hail falls into his open eyes. This is the first chapter from Stephen King's novella, The Body, in his book, Different Seasons. You may not be familiar with The Body. However, chances are you've heard of or seen the film adaptation, Stand By Me, from 1987. I read a chapter from this novella every class period to start things off, get the kids in, get them settled down, and then we will discuss plot development, plot points, literary devices like foreshadowing, flashback, how the characters are developing, and so forth. It's a great way to model good writing. Sometimes we'll just look at a specific passage and how beautifully it's crafted. We'll look at things that point to truths in our world, in our own lives. That first chapter that I just read is one of my favorite written pieces ever. And it says something about the power of words, yet how words are so insignificant sometimes. And it's just a great way to introduce all that to kids who are taking a creative writing class. My name is Matt Bowden, and this is my 17th year here at CHS, my 11th year teaching creative writing. And one thing that I have always done and will continue to do is try to model every day, model my passion for the written word, my passion for literature, and hope that it rubs off in some way on my learners. One thing I do every single day is make sure that the learners write. We may be working on a long-term assignment. It's not due for 3 days. It's not due till next week. They have writer's block. They're not in the mood to work. But one thing I do every day is give them a journal entry, a journal topic that they have to write half-page minimum on. Some of the topics include you're standing in an open doorway. A woman is sitting at the bottom of some stairs holding her face in her hands. Write about her. Tell me about her. Once when no one was looking, something seemed different. Write about a used car. So I give them scenarios and then ask them to start something, dig something up with it. A lot of these end up being something, a story that starts out as a journal and then they craft it into something larger, more significant, more developed. But no matter what's going on in class or with my learners, they will write every day. And a great thing that I do with the journals is that I encourage them to try things different, experiment a little bit. If you're a serious writer, try and write a humorous piece. Be a little lighthearted. If you are someone who writes a lot of innocent, sweet stories, try something darker. So I encourage them to try different things, get out of their comfort zone, because there may be something that they are very, very gifted in, but they've never tried it. There may be something that they really enjoy doing and they have a great voice for, but they've never given it a shot. So I encourage them to try different things in their journals. And not only that, try different genres. Try a poem one day, write a dialogue one day, write some prose one day. My belief about being a good writer, at the foundation of everything I do and how I approach this class, is good writing comes from two sources: writing a lot and reading a lot. You need to read a lot so you're seeing good writing, and you need to write a lot because practice makes perfect. You don't just become a good writer by writing one thing. So we write a lot in this class, but I give them opportunities to choose their topics and sort of go directions that they want to go with it. You can't put boundaries or limits on artists, tell them you have to write this or that. So the kids have a lot of voice, a lot of choice in this class. As I said earlier, this is my 17th year here at CHS. I love it here. There's no place I'd rather be, and there's nothing I'd rather be doing. I feel like I come to school every day with a pretty good amount of school spirit and a positive attitude, and I think the kids sense that. I think they can sense that I want to be here, and that helps them sort of develop that attitude that, hey, I want to be here. And when they have that attitude, they're willing to do anything for you. You're going to get their best effort, their best work, and that can make all the difference in the world as a teacher. Much of the time in my class is used for independent work, time for the writers to write. As I stated earlier, I believe a good writer must read a lot and write a lot. So they're given a lot of time to write. If they can write in class and not have to do it on their own, I try and help them out. I know they have a heavy course load, most of them, and I don't want to stress them out and make them, once again, that attitude turns towards, oh, I have to do this. I don't want that. So a lot of their time is for independent work time. We do a lot of writing together as well, collaborative writing on the smartboard, a lot of Harry Noden's brushstrokes program where they learn to brush in details, helpful details, vivid imagery. It's all about diction and word choice. So we do a lot of that together. This first semester, we start with poetry. We're in the middle of the poetry unit now. I teach them how to write poetry, how to be comfortable writing poetry, not feeling like it's got to be about these highbrow subjects, or that your poem doesn't have to follow certain meter or rhyme scheme. There's such a thing as free verse. So I try and expose them to all different types of poems to make them comfortable and make them realize that poetry is not this inaccessible art form. Anybody can do it, and it's actually fun and can be gratifying. From there, we move into personal narratives. Before we start writing fiction, I want them to write about what they know. So we write some personal narratives, some personal writing. And then from there, we go into fiction. But before we start writing original fiction, I have them play with some characters that already exist. And that's where Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory comes in. Before I have them write original characters and their own original fiction and plot and come up with an entire story on their own, I want them to play a bit with characters that already exist. So we watched the 1971, the original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and each of the learners is asked to pick one of the kids in the contest and write sort of a prehistory, a story prior to the film that tells us a little bit about how that child developed his or her vice. How did Augustus become such a gluttonous pig? How did Mike TV become addicted to TV? How did Violet Beauregard develop this addiction to gum? What happened to Charlie's family? How did Veruca Salt become such a spoiled brat? So they have to write a story about one of those kids before they create their own characters. Following the Willy Wonka paper, they will write their own original short stories, which they will share with the group once we're finished. As I said earlier, to be a good writer, you write and you read. And I think part of the reading is hearing what your peers are producing as well. I think that has a big effect on developing writers. So we will share our short stories. And then following that, near the holidays, they will write their own original children's books, and that will end the semester. I truly want the best for your kids. I want them to be the best writers they can be. I want them to be the best analytical and deep thinkers that they can be. I want them to see the value in this stuff and how they can apply it to their lives going on in college and beyond that. I too have children, and they're my whole world, and I want the best for them, and I hope that their teachers take that same approach with them that I take with your kids. But I assure you, their best interests are my first priority. We all have an ultimate goal for them, to teach them as much as possible, get them to graduation, and sit back and watch while they do great things after that. And heck, maybe one or two of them might even study creative writing in college and be that next great novelist or that next great poet. Nothing would make me happier. Please feel free to contact me anytime with any questions, comments, concerns that you may have, or if you just want to check in and see what we're doing in class and how your learner's doing, I welcome that. I can be emailed at mbowden@coppellisd.com, or my direct phone line here at school is 214-496-6367. And please keep track of assignments, due dates, and goings-on my Blackboard site. Thanks, and hopefully we can meet second semester at the next curriculum night.